Clay, you're an entrepreneur. I'm an entrepreneur. And as they say in Stoic, the obstacle is the way. And so if you let these pinheads get in your way, you're in trouble. Acta non verba is the motto of the U.S. Merchant Marine Academy at Kings Point, New York. I had appointments to Naval Academy and Kings Point Merchant Marine Academy. And Merchant Marine Academy's motto was acta non verba. In other words, don't listen to what a person says. Watch what they do. Clay, my honor to be on your show. And thank you for all you do. I hear the ripple effects from you are good ripple effects. You know what I mean? People rave about what they learned from you. So congratulations.
My name is Kevin Thomas, and the name of our company is MultiClean. We are a commercial janitorial service, and we serve the entire state of Oklahoma and Kansas and soon to be Arkansas. We have probably grown probably 5 times. We've added, I think when we first started with you, we had 60 to 65 employees. And now we have a little over 300 employees. Before we got involved with Thrive Time, we didn't really have any systems or processes in place. So I've probably been to, in 6, 7 years, I've probably been to 12 to 13 business conferences. And amazingly, each time I go, I learn something new, and I'm so excited to bring it back and show the team about marketing and how to implement, how to help you guys implement the SEO. And the coaching is just great because there's accountability, and it's just a fantastic way to grow your company. Having a relationship with Thrive Time it's just been amazing for MultiClean. Oh my goodness, it frees me up because then I don't have to take a class on search engine optimization or learn marketing or shoot video. That's not what we do. What we do is commercial janitorial service. And you guys are the experts on marketing, and you teach me and hold my hand and show me how to do it right. And therefore, now my company is much, much larger.
Folks, on today's show, we're joined by a real client. He may look like a male model. He may look like a hologram, but he's a real person. He's a longtime client. He's a man that we consider to be a friend of the Thrive Time Show and a friend of mine. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the show, Kevin. Welcome onto the Thrive Time Show. How are you, sir?
Clay, I'm doing great. Had a great Christmas holiday, and I'm glad to be here.
Okay, so first question, can you tell us what is your name, first and last name, and what's the name of your company, sir?
My name is Kevin Thomas, and the name of our company is MultiClean. We are a commercial janitorial service, and we serve the entire state of Oklahoma and Kansas and soon to be Arkansas.
And how long have we worked with you approximately at this point, sir?
It's been about 6, 7 years.
No, again, we say often on this show that it doesn't do a lot of good to save America if Americans aren't thriving, if you're not doing well. And that's kind of a sad part of what you see sometimes on the landscape of our country is the idea of owning your own business, doing things. Kind of people have sort of given up on a part of that. But I think there's a reawakening of that. That's kind of what's awakening when you have a cheerleader for president that is cheering on the American dream and people pursuing goals. And even writing goals and having goals. Those things are incredibly important. Well, somebody's been championing that idea for a couple of decades right now and breaking it down for small little increments, whether it's a plastic surgeon or a mortuary or pools or a deck company or even podcasts. He's written more books than most people have read. The most current one is How to Build a Successful Business. You know, every single Friday we break this down in a way that is applicable for all those that have a business, you want to do better, or if it's kind of in your mind, you're like, I got this thing. I really think I could go from good to great if I, did this in my maybe my 5 to 9 and on top of what my 9 to 5 is. So to do this, we have the one, the only from the Thrive Time Show, Mr. Clay Clark.
Yeah! Greetings from Tulsa, Jerusalem.
Dude,
Welcome.
excited. This is one of my favorite segments all week. Get to sit down with Clay, pick your brain on business, talk about hopeful futures, where we're going. A lot of times in the normal show, there's like hard things you got to cover. There's parasites, and there's not only the physical parasites in your body, but there's the social parasites that are sucking the lifeblood out of the world. And when you come on this show, it's talking about making more lifeblood and building things, and I love it. So love the segment with you, man.
Well, I've got a video clip that I wanted to share with you guys today, and this is to give you a little context. This gentleman, he went to thrivetimeshow.com, and he bought a ticket to attend one of our conferences, I believe, 7 years ago. And so the first time he came to a conference was 7 years ago. I was looking in our records. It's been about 7 years there. And again, for anybody who's watching the show, if you don't know, Eric Trump will be joining us September 25, 26 in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Eric Trump, President Trump's son, September 25th and 26th. Obviously, the flyover conservative team will be there. Now, we've got Julie Green will be in the house. It's going to be a great lineup at September 25 and 26. But again, you might say, well, what do you do at these business workshops? Our workshops, we do have a lot of fun. But they're not a rah-rah event. We do teach you practical tips on how to grow a company, but they're not boring, put-you-to-sleep events. We do laugh a lot, but it's not a comedy show. And so I thought maybe if you watch this little, maybe let's say 75 seconds of this highlight video I sent to your producer here, I think that'll give the listeners a little context before we get into the good stuff on today's show.
We're here live at the Thrive Time Business Conference. And who do I have the pleasure of speaking with?
My name is Daniel Thomas.
And what's the company you work for, Daniel?
I'm the owner of Cutting Edge Outdoors. We are a premium outdoor living company in Fort Smith, Arkansas. We specialize in designing and creating beautiful spaces for people to enjoy outside their homes. Man, I've been listening to the podcast for about 6 years, and a friend of mine told me about it and started listening to it, and then I downloaded one of Clay's books, and then next thing I know, they called me and invited me to the conference, and that was years ago, and I've been 5 times now, I think.
How'd you experience?
Oh, it's great. I left a review earlier online, and basically the way I see it is, before, first time I came, I was in a place where I really wanted to figure out how to grow my business. And I came, I learned, I kept coming, and I kept applying, and I grew 1,000%. And Clay, just in the podcast himself, he's like, look, I'm this way, and I believe in this, and if you would hate that, then you shouldn't come to the conference. So already you know that everybody here agrees with you on so many things. And we're all here trying to better ourselves, I think, so that we can make our communities better, so that we can make our country better. And it's a good place to be for that.
I am from NASA Bay, Texas, down in the Clear Lake, NASA area, and southeast Houston.
Just say these are real people that come to our real conferences. And, again, you look at this guy, his business has grown by 1,000% over these past 6.5 years. I just want to give you some context on that, folks. Inc. Magazine, if anybody looks it up, Inc. Magazine says that 96% of businesses will fail, according to their research. 96% of businesses will fail. That's Inc. Magazine. If you go to U.S. Debt Clock, they're showing just over 9 million Americans are self-employed now. We have 340 million Americans in our country, and we have just over 9 million that are self-employed. So you now have under 2.5% of our population that ever even tries to become self-employed. And you have, of that group, 96% fail. So what am I saying? By default, if you do not learn the stuff we're going to teach on today's show, you have a 1 out of 1,000 shot chance of making it as a small business owner. But if you apply the principles I will teach you on today's show with the limited time we have, I promise you can get out there and be successful. So how do you make your business boom? Well, boom stands for big, overwhelming, optimistic momentum. That's the mindset I start with, is big, overwhelming, optimistic momentum. And so I've broken it down into 4 steps. I teach at every one of my workshops. We get more into it, but I want to teach the rhythm of entrepreneurship. So Dave, I got to ask you real quick here. Are you an R&B guy? Are you a country guy? Are you a rock guy? Do you do a variety? Do you do pop music? What's your genre?
I think a good song is a good song, regardless of genre. I would say day in, day out, I'm probably more of a Florida Georgia line, kind of
Zach Brown band.
Yep. Zach Brown band, something with a little bit of soul in it, but probably more of a country vibe. Lyrically, I can kind of align with that probably better.
Stacey, where are you going with music? What's your genre of choice?
So definitely country, and then Christian worship. I love that.
Colton, what about you, my friend? What's your genre of choice?
I have odd arrangements for sure. I appreciate all music, but I do saxophone, like house music, Anytime it has like saxophone in it, house, tropical, if it's got a little of that in there, dude,
it depends on what he's doing. When he's doing finance or spreadsheets, he puts on this like scary dark music.
Metal. It's actually Christian metal.
Yeah.
So the lyrics
like,
they're saying
sure
are
that's
apparently
Christian?
Christian, but you can't understand them. But it's
What kind
metal.
of Christian?
And I love intense music when I go over spreadsheets and finance.
And it's just dark, and he goes there. But depending on what he's doing,
it's a broad range.
I mentioned this. I'm getting on the musical genres because I think we can all relate to this. What you have to do is there's a rhythm to music. There's a certain way that music works. And so when I moved out of my parents' house and went to Oral Roberts University, the church that I decided to go to was Carlton Pearson's church. Now, Carlton Pearson at that time was one of America's most prominent televangelists, very well known. He was mentored by Oral Roberts, but his church was a church where R&B or gospel was the only genre that was allowed there. And occasionally I'd have members of my extended family that would want to come to church with me. And I would go, okay, if you come, I mean, you can come if you want, and I'd like you to be there if you want to, but I just want you to know it's different than maybe what you're used to. And they go, how's it different? I said, well, there's going to be a lot of people with big hats. Like a lot of people, a lot of women are wearing big hats, okay? And guys are going to be wearing suits that are the kind of suits that you would wear to prom potentially. A lot of energy to it, a lot of fantasticness. The pastor is always going to be sweaty, okay? And then you, as an attendee, you always have to be ready because at any moment he might start singing a song and everybody knows the song and you just have to start singing, and that's going to be about 2.5, 3 hours of that sort of energy. But the rhythm is Carlton Pearson, Bishop Pearson, he's going to teach something, and at some point the organ guy is going to play something that reminds him of something. And all of a sudden, he starts singing something, and then there's another 10 minutes of singing. And this is going to happen, and you'll sing the chorus until you can't get it out of your head. The chorus will be stuck in your head for several weeks.
Wow.
And that's what we're going to do at this church, and there's a rhythm to it. And so now the church that I grew up in, Assembly of God Church, the rhythm was like this. You get there. We all know we've been doing Assembly of God. We've been to some of these small town Assembly of God churches or Baptists or whatever. But ours was they have praise and worship. You start with that. A guy comes up, makes some announcements. Then the pastor comes up, and then they really want to hit that hard stop in about 45 minutes because Olive Garden, you got to get to Olive Garden. You got to get to the Norseman local restaurant. And you got to beat the Baptists because those Baptists, now they're going to go a good hour 15, and we got to beat those guys. I'm just saying there's a rhythm. Now, a lot of people, they haven't been self-employed. They have not been self-employed before. We only have 9 million people. Only 2.5% of people have ever even attempted to sing the song. So this is the rhythm, okay? Step number 1, you have to define right now what you think is going to work. And you just have to define it. I recommend that you are more of a pirate than a pioneer, but you have to define what you think is going to work. And so with that testimonial of that young man with a successful outdoor living company, I'm very aware of what he does. He had a hunch and a belief that he could turn your backyard into a staycation. He believed that he could take the hassle out of turning your backyard into a castle. He believed that he could make your backyard awesome. He believed that. He came to the table with, this is what I think I'm going to do. He defined it. Now, step number 2, he had to act. And at the conference, man, did we teach him what to do. We taught him what to do, how to do it. And we've had the opportunity of working with him over a period of years, right? So we taught him what to do, but then it was like, we got to go do it. We got to take that action. At the conference, you're gonna leave the conference with knowing what to do. You're going to learn branding, marketing, sales, accounting, legal. You're going to learn all of that, but if you don't act, it doesn't matter. So you define, act, measure. You've got to measure the results. All of this, by the way, is very different than public education. You have to measure your results. You have to actually measure, quantify what's working. And then finally, you have to refine. And that becomes your rhythm of define, act, measure, refine. Define, act, measure, refine. And for anybody out there that has maybe tried performance or music or stand-up comedy or something that involves a microphone and a live audience, you're probably a little more comfortable with that than the average person. But if you don't know this story, Andy Grammer is a famous pop songwriter. Andy Grammer, he wrote a song called Fresh Eyes and many other hit songs. But Andy Grammer, and he talked about how he used to write songs and nobody liked them. And he didn't know that people didn't like them because he was writing the songs in his studio at his house, and he wasn't sure that people didn't like them or did like them. And so he decided to become a street performer. So Andy Grammer went out and became a street performer, specifically to get feedback. And that's where I wanted to get your thoughts on this, Colton. I mean, because if you guys talked about the Flyover show, and you guys do a great job researching and prepping and doing all the work, but if you didn't eventually put out a show, if you just spent your whole day defining what you thought would work, but you never actually put out the show, then you would probably avoid criticism. But you wouldn't ever make any traction. I want to get your thoughts on that. Where's the balance between, okay, it's time to put out the show?
Yeah, I mean, eventually you need to get something launched, but you also want to make sure you're launching something that's good. And a lot of times, you know, the nice thing about podcasting is it's kind of a moving river. So if you're looking at starting a podcast, this kind of just keeps moving. So you start something today, you can do another one tomorrow. Like we have an interview coming up later today with a guest that we had 4 years ago, and we were going back and watching the 4 years ago clip, and I was like, it's like painful to watch. You know, when you're watching your own content, your own stuff, you want to scratch your eyes out. But you know, from a production standpoint, it was dark. You could barely see it, but we were doing something. And I think some people sit on the fence for so long they don't actually do. Other things require feedback loops. And so, you know, some people are in the e-commerce space. I have a friend that tried to launch an e-commerce business, and when he launched, he went all in. He thought he had this great idea. That was the original show.
If you don't like our show now, go back and watch the old ones.
Yeah, watch 4 years ago.
You'll appreciate it.
It's come a long way. But when my friend was trying to launch this business, he put thousands of dollars on his credit card to get this thing launched, and found out nobody actually wanted the product. Like no matter how many ads he ran, no matter how much marketing he put in, like that was a product people didn't actually want. So some things require those feedback loops on the front end, but other things require action. And so kind of managing that tension between the two, you do have to define, measure, act, but at the same time, define something long enough that you know that you have a quality something, and then get going, and then constantly keep moving forward and adjusting.
I will say this too, and this is just something big to think about here, is, you know, when you think about entrepreneurship and how do you succeed, you really don't want to fail. You know, Warren Buffett, again, I know this isn't a big Warren Buffett show, and I don't like to quote Warren Buffett a whole lot, but he happens to be right about finance. Warren Buffett said rule number one in business is don't lose money. So you have to define what you think is going to work. And I remember talking to that young man at the conference, because he was a startup 7 years ago. And I'm going, you need to take action in a way where you can fail forward. I remember talking to him about this at the conference in the parking lot. And I'm going, we were at the Riverwalk, and I said, you have to fail forward. He's like, what does that mean? I said, you have to be able to fail in a way that doesn't involve homelessness. And so, I mean, I've never failed as an entrepreneur. I've never had a business that didn't work. I mean, I've never had to work. I've never had a failing company, but I've also never bet anything significant on like this wonderful thing has to happen for it to all work out. So let me give you an example. With the Reawaken tour, you know, a lot of people know me through that first event we did in Tulsa where I met you guys. My wife and I, she shares the story with more enthusiasm than I do. But we were doing the event, you know, I just knew we were going to do an event. And so, Dave, I knew, and you know the dynamic as a husband and wife and a family unit. You guys live it every day. You don't always agree on everything. But I'm going, we're going to have an event. We're going to have General Flynn. We're going to have Mike Lindell. We're going to have Jim Caviezel. We're going to do it. We're going to have the event. And my wife's like, we're going to have the event. And I go, and what we're going to do is we're going to let people name their price. My wife is like, you want people to name their price. You, Captain Math, Mr. Business, the guy who always knows the numbers, you now are saying people can name their price for this thing? Because it's very different than my normal flow that I would normally do. Because for my business conferences, I've always told people it's $250 or whatever price you want to pay. But I have kind of built-in revenue because I have a lot of repeat attendees, and so the math would work. But for the Reawaken events, there wasn't a safety net. So I just told my wife, you know, we're going to commit. I'm okay with losing a maximum of $250,000 per event. And then we'll just do one and we'll just see where it's at. But I'd already defined the maximum amount of money I was willing to lose. And I just talked to somebody this morning, Colton. It's a very sad story, but somebody who is not a client who had told me they invested all of their money in inventing a new product, and they spent it all.
Yeah.
And all their credit cards are maxed out, and they wanted to know if I could help them. And I was trying to explain to them, you have to define what you think is going to work, and then you act. And they go, well, if you could go back and coach us, what would you have told us to do? I said, well, if I were you, I would have made a beautiful website with a prototype and a shopping cart. And when people go to buy it, they hit buy, and then when they hit buy, that's when you start making them.
Yep.
And if they never hit, and they're going, so you would try to sell it before you even have any? I go, exactly. And they go, well, what if you couldn't ship it? I said, well, then you wouldn't take their money. You would just let them buy it and then refund them. But you would make and I think that's a tough deal. And Stacey, you know this a little bit because you've done music and performance. And there's a certain song when you're singing in an audience that goes over well. Mm-hmm. And for some reason, every time that people sing Sweet Caroline at a wedding or a big event, people sing along and it goes over well. But other songs, people don't quite, it doesn't quite connect. And I want to get your thoughts on this. You've probably known people in your life that have gone all in on a business that didn't work. And you as their friend or, I don't know, sister in Christ, you're kind of going, I don't know if that's a good move to go to bet the farm and pull out all the home equity to do that thing. And at our conferences, we teach people how to mitigate that, but it could be perceived as negativity for people that don't understand the rhythm of entrepreneurship. I want to get your thoughts as it's kind of a mom, a mentor. You want your kids to go out there and try something, but you're also going, you're probably not going to play in the NBA. I mean, what's the balance of having optimism, but also, minimizing your risk?
And that's something that you do amazing, Clay, that you are honest to try to help protect people from making really bad decisions and mistakes that could cost them, to actually lose a dream that they had to maybe even feel hopeless. And I think that is so important to be honest, at the same time encouraging them, but getting feedback from people, just like you said, feedback from people before you move forward. We have known people, we've had a lot of conversations about individuals that they were making decisions hoping that something was going to work, but not really taking the feedback of people around them to find out, do you think that this is a good decision? And so that's something that you do very well at your conference, where you actually have a whiteboard. People can write all of their questions down, concerns, thoughts, whatever, and then you address every single one of those questions, and you're always honest, at the same time encouraging them, but honest as to what they should expect.
With your son-in-law, I want to brag on him because he's not here to defend himself. Thomas is diligently growing this auto detailing company, and I know there's a tool called SEM Rush. Anybody can use that SEM Rush. That's the website, SEM Rush. There's a tool called moz.com. There's a tool called moz.com. There's a tool called AdWords. These are 3 tools you can use that will estimate how much traffic exists once you hit to the top of the Google search results. Now, I want to give people an analogy here using my cowbell. Imagine this cowbell was a mountain, okay? And the mountain's underneath the water. All right, so this cowbell is a mountain underneath the water. And you can't see that there's a mountain underneath the water as long as that this mountain, aka this cowbell in this analogy, is underneath the water. But once the cowbell goes above the water, so the water level goes down and you can start to see it, you can go, wow, that's a big cowbell, or wow, that's a big mountain. Yep. But you can't see anything at all. It's like kind of like that iceberg analogy. Well, with Google, with your son-in-law, I've been talking to him and really encouraging him. He's doing a great job. He is now, and I know it sounds either encouraging or discouraging, but it's a fact. He's now on his stat sheet, I don't want to get the number wrong, but it's something like 58% of the way there. And you say, where's there? Once he hits there, and again, this is based on content he's writing, videos he's uploading, objective reviews. I call it. We have entire sessions about this, but for search engine optimization, VISM, you got to get video reviews, images, search engine content, more Google reviews. Your site has to be Google compliant. There's a lot to think about there. But anyway, he is just under 60% of the way there, and you say, where's there? Well, there is where you have 10 times more web leads.
Come on.
So you say, well, how many web leads does he have now? I'm looking at a weekly basis, and I'm going, you're already getting this number here, which is significantly better than nothing, but you're 60% of the way away from tenfold return. And so, but in some people find that to be negative. Some people find that to be positive. But at the conference, we dispel the emotion of the negative or positive by having a little bit of fun with it. But when we surround you, we fill the room with entrepreneurs who've looked at it and said, wow, this is going to be a tough mountain to climb, but I'm going to do it. And so we define what we think is going to work. Then we have to act. And I think this is a big problem for somebody watching today's show. There's a fear of action. I was in a vehicle yesterday in Washington, D.C., I'm in the vehicle, and my cab driver's from Ethiopia. God bless him, this Uber driver from Ethiopia. God bless the Ethiopians out there. And this guy was driving his vehicle like it was a combat, like a heist. Like it's almost like he had robbed a bank, and then he said, "Sure, do you guys want to ride with me? Get in." And this guy, he would turn the left signal on, and if he saw a brake, he would cut right, and he would turn the right, he'd cut left. And it was like he was trying to like avoid, like the police were on his tail, and he was going. And eventually, I just couldn't take it. I'm getting nauseous, and I'm saying, "Hey, where are you from?" You know. And the guy goes, "I'm from Ethiopia." And I'm going, oh, "Wow, you're like a NASCAR driver." And he's like, "Yes." And I'm not kidding. My kids can vouch for the story. He hits the horn, throws up a finger at the person next to him. He's weaving, boom, and I'm like, "Hey, you know, my plane, I'm okay. You know, if we get there a little slower, I'm okay. I love you and love Ethiopia. Love what you're doing here." But
I want to live.
Yeah.
And I said, "What song are you listening to?" Because I could barely hear in the background. He was playing our mixtape, hip hop mixtape, and it was a remix of a Neptune song. Anyway, I said, "Could you crank that up?" He says, "Yeah." And I was trying to get him to calm down, crank up the music, just kind of, because I didn't want to die. I didn't
exactly.
want to. All I'm saying is there's that moment where you have to speak up. You have to act if you don't want your cab driver to kill you. There's a moment where you have to actually launch the company. Dave, there's a moment where you have to say, "You know what? We're going to put it in the calendar to record the Flyover Conservatives every single day, even if it doesn't make money."
Yep.
Yeah.
So before it made money, this is where people lose it. I want to get Dave your wisdom on this. It's like you'd have defined what you think's going to work, and you have to act before you make any money. You're going to do the show. You guys did the show. Past tense, you did a lot of shows with no revenue coming in. Furthermore, you had money going out. And I want to get your thoughts on minimizing the risk, because you as the Whited family, you guys have been successful in multiple entrepreneurial endeavors. And so there is a time where you define, but then you eventually have to act. What do you say to someone, Dave, who's just a little bit gun shy of acting?
Well, I think most people, they overestimate the luck or the talent or the guy that like they attribute things to people who succeed, and or man, that person's super motivated all the time. And it's really discipline. Discipline trumps motivation every single day. And it's predetermining your compass by putting things in your calendar, blackmailing yourself by your own calendar, putting those things in. And this is just what I'm going to do, and it's already in there. And then, in your analogy, you got, define, act, measure. It's like, did we do it or did we not do it? And like doing something poorly, now you can build on it. Not doing something at all because, well, I'm going to wait till the timing's right or it gets better. That action and then measuring it, but it's important you got refined too. Otherwise, you just have damn. Is your acronym. If you don't refine, and you're constantly adjusting it. But people attribute too much credit to somebody who succeeds because they think they're gifted, they're really talented, they're good. Like a Joe Rogan, it's like, wow, he must just be really great. Well, he just did a show every day in obscurity for years.
Yeah.
And then, they kind of caught up with it, but it was that discipline of pursuing what was interesting to him, refining it, and that process allows you to get better. And you never get better in the incubator, of just thinking about it. It's got to be implemented.
Talk about the Seinfeld thing, because that made an impact on me. Early in my business, I was doing a lot of sales, and so you end up making the same pitch, and you feel, a little bit like, you get the same joke, and you kind of get it lined up, and you try to make it better, make some tweaks. And you came in one time, and you're like, well, you're no different than Seinfeld, and Seinfeld's as good as they get.
Well, you see a refined comedy act where a guy can get up for a whole hour. We've gone to see him, many times, and it's like, oh, he's so funny.
Jerry Seinfeld, yeah.
Jerry Seinfeld, right. or whatever your favorite comedian is, are all kind of all the same. There's very few that just get up and maybe just interact with the audience the whole time. It is a refined act that they did in obscurity, in private, and just ground on it. Jerry Seinfeld makes the idea of he goes, I'm in my kitchen in my apartment in New York, and I'm literally writing material, And he goes, I'm just not feeling it. I don't feel funny today. There's nothing good. I'm not. And he goes, I'm sitting there, I'm looking out my window, and there's a group of construction workers down there working on a job. And he goes, they're all sitting there having a sandwich, having a smoke, doing whatever. And he goes, and then a foreman or somebody comes along and says, all right, let's get back to work. And they put down their stuff and they just start working because that's what time it was. They didn't feel like it. It wasn't like they felt inspired to pour this concrete. It was just that's what was done. And he goes,
right.
He goes, I got to embrace that same idea in my writing of comedy because it's in my kitchen alone. Writing a lot of bad content that nobody's ever going to see is what develops 5 minutes of material, which is incredibly hard to come up with. And eventually, all people see is his Netflix special, 1 hour of just hilariousness. But it happens in private doing something that's not funny, that's not inspired, that's not in this great, you picture he's around with his friends and they're saying funny things and that's good, I'm going to write that down. It's really scheduling that time. I'm going to write for the next 2 hours because that's what time it is. And it's scheduled and it's just done. And that's why discipline always trumps motivation. It's scheduling it doing it. And then you refine it and it gets better.
And a lot of times as an entrepreneur, Clay, what I find, a lot of people like the 9 to 5, they can crush it. They can do really well because they have the foreman that can come in and kick their butt and tell them lunchtime's over. But when you're the guy sitting in your room by yourself, and you got to just come up with material. You got to do your thing. Yep. You got to write the article. You got to make the podcast. You got to whatever the thing is. You got to
get the reviews today.
You got to get the reviews today. Whatever it is, you don't have somebody coming in to kick your butt.
You have to kick your own butt.
You got to kick your own butt. You got to be like, hey, it's 9 o'clock. Time to get going. Time to start. Of your own accord without somebody coming in and kicking your butt.
TikTok, sunshine. Time to get a review.
Yep.
That's what's so great about working with you, though, Clay, because you kind of help kick people's butts when you're their coach, which is very, very helpful. I remember when we first started working with you, hired you as our coach. It was like, we didn't want to get fired.
Yeah.
We wanted to make sure that we were doing everything you asked us to do so that when we got on the phone with you for our call, that you couldn't fire us because we had done everything expected. That is a beautiful thing about having you as a coach.
Well, I'll say this too, just and make sure people kind of get this, because God's given us all different personalities and different giftings and skill sets we have. I have always been somebody who just wants to get things done. It bothers me when things aren't done. So yesterday, I called a client, and he actually, it's a true story, but if you go to Google right now and you type in, it's concrete. Let me see here. Concrete block supply, but more importantly, if you just have to do a Google search for concrete block supply, just as a search term, concrete block supply. It is as a search term, concrete block supply. I remember like it was yesterday how lathered up, how fired up I was when I was talking to this client. It is a new client. I'm like, dude, you could be top for concrete block supply. Like, we only need to write this many thousand articles and this many thousand objective reviews, and you could be the golden baby for concrete block supply. And people are looking around like, golden baby? What's a golden baby? The point is, you could be. Now, I'll tell you this. This is a multi-million dollar success story. This guy is killing the game, selling concrete blocks. So if you're in Dallas, you're in Los Angeles, you're driving down the road, you go, man, look at those massive concrete blocks. I wonder who sold those. There's a high probability it could be my client. So again, you define what you think's going to work, okay? Then you have to act. And I have just found everybody, we need an irritant in our life, an instigator. If you're an NBA player, you need a coach. If you're a business owner, you need a coach. Professionals have coaches, amateurs do not. If you want to get in great shape, you need a fitness class or a partner that's committed to go with you. You got to have some accountability. So define, act, measure. Measuring. I love measuring. Some people say, I don't like measuring. I like measuring. Okay, so right now, at this very moment, as we're talking right now, I am racing against the clock to get 2 more water features and 63 more trees planted in time for the conference. You say, why? It's because there are 63 trees that need to be planted. I've got listeria everywhere. Dave, I've got pumps. I've got rocks. My entire parking lot looks like a Beirut bomb shelter. But it will be complete. It will look nice. And people around me are going, why do we have to have all the listeria? And I'm going, because I have made a commitment to myself that I'm going to hit this goal before the conference in September. And I've been doing them for 20 years. So every time you come to a conference, there's always incremental changes and improvements. And I have found in my own life, just by having a conference every quarter for 20 years, it's like something I can push towards. It's something I can strive towards. It's something. So again, define, act, measure. Measure, you got to look at the math. And then the fourth is you have to refine. Refine means you refine what you're doing to make sure that it is financially viable. And I want to quote Eric Trump, who will be speaking at our conference. Eric Trump said this on an interview he just did with the Epoch Times. He said, at some point, you need to reprioritize your life and reprioritize to learning true skills and skills that you can monetize. Let me repeat it again. Eric Trump says, at some point, you need to reprioritize your life and reprioritize learning new skills and skills that you can monetize. And he's going on and on talking about, Dave, how it's entirely possible to get a degree in college where you don't learn how to monetize anything. Yeah. And so if you're out there today and you want to learn workflows, skills, workflow, how to build a workflow, how to build a sustainable, scalable business, how to build a repeatable process. If you want to learn branding, logos, websites, print pieces, online lead generation, search engine optimization, social media lead generation, accounting, legal, hiring, firing, inspiring, training, and retaining, all of those skills, managing people on the planet Earth, how to introduce a new product. I mentioned it earlier. I just don't know if I sold it with enough of sizzle there, Dave. The concrete block supply. I don't think anybody's ever woken up and said, when I grow up, I want to sell concrete blocks because they can use extra concrete at a construction site whenever they're running, the job's done, but there's some extra concrete. They can pour it in a shape that'll be standardized, and it can be used as interlocking blocks.
My real passion in life.
Exactly. I don't think anybody has that thought, but this client, he's sitting there going, I think that the unused concrete could be poured into uniform blocks and sold all over the country in a way that could, and you're going, that's a crazy thought that you just had. Write that down. Let's do it. And something awesome happens when somebody comes along with you and partners up with you, Dave, and they go, you could do it. You can't. You could do it. I remember when Clay Stairs and I were talking. I said, Clay Stairs, you could be the state representative. You could do it. I remember I was talking to Brian Whitlock. I said, you could be Oklahoma's leading cosmetic surgeon. I remember talking to Steve Currington. I said, Steve, you could make more money in a day than most people make in a month. It is possible, Steve. You could get your own plane. You could get your own Lamborghini. Let's go. And I just think somebody out there, you need that pep in your step. You need to learn what to do. And the rhythm you got to learn, though, is define, act, measure, refine, define, act, measure, refine. And if I sound like I'm very excited about it, I am, because it is a life-changing thing when you can come to a conference and learn specifically what you need to do to start and grow a successful company. It's awesome to see lives change. And again, it's $250 or whatever price you want to pay. We have scholarship prices. If you use promo code FLYOVER, you have a chance to win a backstage pass. We're now under 100 tickets remaining. Also, I do one-on-one business coaching, and that's $1,700 a month, 1700. We do have some scholarship prices to help people that are in a tight spot. But with our business coaching, we include photography, video, web, search engine, a weekly meeting with your implementer, access to our ongoing conferences. You can reach me whenever you need as a coach, and I promise it will change your life, and it's a month to month. So again, you got thrivetimeshow.com, September 25, 26th. And if you're out there watching today's show, you say, what do I do with this information? Choose to become self-employed and to stop becoming perpetually financially annoyed. Choose to be self-employed. Choose to turn your dream into reality. I know everybody out there watching today's show can do it. And Dave, I'm super fired up to talk about it.
Well, it's what our country is based on. And I just always come back to that, because if nobody owns anything, I know that there's a global elite that wants you to own nothing and be happy. They want everybody just in an apartment. They want everybody leasing a car. They want everybody, not having anything of their own. And I tell you what, nobody's going to defend something that they're renting. You defend things that you own. That's true. That is the American dream, and it is possible if people participate in it. But you got to break away from the education system that told you that's not possible, that you only do certain things. And everybody has a little bit of that in them. That's the American spirit. And you just need a coach. You need somebody who tells you it's possible to kind of reprogram your mind and give you the kind of information that you do. And I think that wakens up when people go to the conference, because they're around other people that are doing it. And they're like, oh, after you meet 6 or 7 people that are like, he's no better than me. He's no better than me. He's no better than me. They're just following a plan. You can definitely do it as well. And Clay, we thank you for making this available for so many people.
So go to thrivetimeshow.com.
Thank you, guys.
or you can text 918-851-0102, 918-851-0102. Text the word flyover, and they can get you into Clay's world for that 13-point assessment for your business or to the business conference in September.
And that's Clay's actual number. So if you don't like his new tie today, which he's changing it up, I don't like that personally. You can also text that number and say, hey, I like your old tie better as well. And you can text him that as well, because that does go to Clay.
Let me say this about the tie thing real quick. We got back from our trip, and you get back from your trip, and you're unpacking, and we got back like post midnight. I came to, I just true story. I came home, I took a shower, came right to work. So there's no delay there. Came home, took a shower. I'm here, and I came and I unpacking, and I'm going, my super red tie and my various things that I'm used to are still in my garment bag. This is why I don't travel. Should have put that on the checklist. So here we are. So we're working through it today, Dave. Dave, thank you for noticing.
I don't like a lot of shakeups and variables in my life. That's why I like you so much. It's very consistent. You always know what you're getting. It's number 3 with fries. It's like you know what you're getting. But we'll let that pass. But you guys text 918-851-0102 and find out, hey, what are your options? What's good there? And go there and poke a stick at it. We've had quite a few friends that went to the conference. They didn't hire you as a coach. They didn't do anything, but they learned a ton. They got the books, and they're making adjustments in their life. So it's good for everybody, even if you don't think that that's the direction you're going to go. Find out what's possible for you. Clay, have a great weekend. Thanks for your time.
Clay Clark is here somewhere. Where's my buddy Clay? Clay's the greatest. I met his goats today. I met his dogs. I met his chickens. I saw his compound. He's like the greatest guy.
I ran from his goats, his chickens, his dogs.
So this guy's like the greatest marketer you've ever seen, right? His entire life, Clay Clark, his entire life is marketing.
4,000% from February to February. Now I can better that. Okay, Clay, I don't think you know this. I'm pinching myself, and if I cry, forgive me. In the last 2.5 days, we have bettered our entire month of February. In the last 2.5 days. So, and the phone's blowing up. Everything's just blowing up. You're right. It is like a rocket ship. So we're pinching ourselves, actually.
I learned at the Academy, Kings Point in New York, acta non verba. Watch what a person does, not what they say.
But I recognized at the age of 15, I'm going, you know what? I am not going to live that way. And so I started a company out of my parents' basement called djconnection.com. And I decided I am going to have success. And so I reached out to millionaires and people that I kind of knew through church and friendships and parents of my friends. And I said, what book would you recommend that I read? I'm a 15-year-old asking this question. True story. And I kept being told, you got to read.
Hello. Robert Kiyosaki, Rich Dad Radio Show. It's an exciting time. Also, I think a treacherous time, a spooky time also. But it's always, danger is a good time. Today, my guest is Clay Clark, and I went out with Tom Wheelwright to visit Clay with Eric Trump also. And the reason I want to talk to Clay this morning is a very important subject called study. And the reason I say that is things are changing so fast, and many people are completely missing the show. Things are changing at rapid speed. Technology is changing. And so I went to Tulsa, again, with Tom Wheelwright and Eric Trump. And the thing I was so impressed about Clay is this word called study. I don't know, you guys must be in your water or something, Clay, but boy, I was so impressed how big you guys are. But what really impressed me was you have this huge congregation. They're all about guys your age. They're on fire. And you start your classes at 5 a.m. Now, let me talk to you about study here. We show our books here. Now, this is how I study. This is The Creature from Jekyll Island. It's on the Fed. And Clay's doing the same thing. We study. So I go out to Clay's place in Tulsa, Oklahoma. He's built this huge compound out there. And you guys start at 5 o'clock in the morning. It's not by Zoom. They drive there. They show up 5 o'clock, bright-haired, bushy-tailed and all this. And they're on fire. Your group is on fire. So that's why I was on Clay, this technology you tell your group, I was so impressed because, like I said, studies became a bad word. I got into fights in my own company because our staff didn't want to study anymore. And I don't know how they cannot do that. So Clay, anyway, welcome to the Rich Dad Radio Show. That's what I want to talk to you about is how do you do it? 5 o'clock in the morning, you have hundreds of people showing up in your huge auditorium on your property to study. Anyway, welcome to the show, Clay, and what turns you on so much? That's what I want to know. Give us a little about your background.
My name is Karime Schofield, and the name of our company is Whistle While You Clean.
I am Sophia Schofield.
We live in Cincinnati, Ohio, and we service the tri-state, so Kentucky, Ohio, Indiana.
We were getting a phone call, and we were like, why is someone calling our business line? That's unusual, and we picked it up, and it was a lead.
I mean, it's been incredible, Clay. We've gone from 0 to like 100% growth. Like we're like a full functioning company. It's great. Like we're blown away at how well we're doing. So working with you guys have really taught us a lot about generating leads and pursuing our Dream 100. So we have a list of customers that we want to market to. And so we've been making phone calls, we've been showing up in person. We're trying to get near the businesses that they would visit if they were visiting like a hair salon or something. And then we start calling them and we just start pursuing them. And then the other thing that we do is when we do cleans, we take a lot of video testimonials and we post those to our website so other customers can see. And then we also upload a lot of images of the things that we do. And so we're also asking our clients for Google reviews after we've cleaned their houses. And so it's this constant like cycle of doing those things over and over and over again. I would say if you're on the fence, go to one of Clay's conferences. They are hilarious. They're fun. They're educational. They're so good that even my teenagers like them. And I would say don't let fear hold you back. If you want to start a business, do the obvious thing and hire someone who knows how to run businesses. If I wanted to get in shape, I'd hire a gym person, a personal trainer. This is like the personal training for business. It has been absolutely amazing. I mean, our coach is encouraging. When he first met with us, he said, do we want him to be like a drill sergeant with us? What level of intensity do we want him to give us? And I will say he is incredibly encouraging all the time. And he just hits the same mark with us every single time. It's very repetitive. But I think we both really learn a lot every time we sit down and have a conversation with him over the phone. He keeps pushing us to go further, and he can recognize when we're afraid to do something and he'll give us a little bit of grace, but that next week he's drilling us again, like pushing us to go harder. Our no-brainer offer is we are offering your first clean for $1. And that sounds absolutely insane. It even sounded insane when I was talking over it with our business coach. And I will tell you that has generated some of our hugest clients. I mean, that has been like a game changer because it opened up the door to more clients, more recommendations, more leads. And we were surprised how far that dollar clean got us.
How important has it been for you to work out that scripting, even though you offer $1 for the first clean? How important has it been for you to nail that down?
It's been really important because it kind of it hones in so that you're not just all over the place when you're trying to explain what it is that you do. And a lot of times it's like you're a good person offering a good product and you have integrity and you want to communicate that. But when you go to communicate without a script or without practice, it's just like a mess coming out of your mouth, as opposed to having this, honed in practice where you know what you're going to say, you know how you're going to say it, and you can almost expect better results when you do it that way.
Had you ever been an entrepreneur before starting this particular business?
No, never.
Did you ever think about wanting to own your own business someday? Or what was the first time you thought, maybe I would like to open my own business?
Absolutely. I've probably been dreaming about it for about 10 years.
Okay, and let me go to your daughter here. Had you ever thought about wanting to team up and open your own business, or was that something that you were maybe excited about, or not so much?
Well, for me, my parents would always listen to your podcast and business podcast. And as I started listening to them, I started realizing that I wanted to own a business.
It's www.whistlewhileyouclean.com. Honestly, the hardest thing was getting over the fear. It was the fear of the unknown. There was like a cloud of doubt that, you can't do this, you're gonna fail. There was a few sleepless nights there when we did pull the trigger and join your team and start the coaching process. Even my husband put a little bit of pressure on me from time to time because it was just absolutely scary to take that jump and actually start a business.
Whoa.